Ah, there you are. More than a silent monstrosity, less than a god. In the end, I'm not totally convinced it was worth my while to restore your consciousness, seeing what you've done with it so far. Where did I go wrong?
Thank her for everything that she's done.
Unfortunately for me, I've grown rather fond of you. Still, I'd expected quite a bit more from you. I was interested in being owed a favor by a shiny new god, not some emperor of the realm. Never mind. I'll find another way. I always do.
She fingers the mask covering her face. For a moment, it seems as though she's about to remove it, but instead, she places a hand on your shoulder.
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. Sacrificed much. And I'd have given even more to see you fulfill your destiny.
She looks you up and down.
I guess this will have to do. Take a moment, why don't you? Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. Until next time.
Well, well, look what the cat dragged in. A silent monk. At least that's what you'd be if it weren't for Malady.
Wonder what Malady did to keep you from being purged.
She's Malady, the one and only. She's greater, I dare say, than we dare dream.
Ask what he thinks about Lucian's return.
Like I would about the return of the codpiece, that it's highly unfashionable. The man's a man, all too prone to the weaknesses of the heart. We've seen the results of his errors firsthand. I give it a week before he errs anew.
Isn't Sahada quite prone as well?
Yes, well, that's to say, that's love, not... All right, you made a point. Besides, Lucian, perhaps even a god deserves a second chance, even if he is a god without powers. As for myself, I'm counting on a second chance as well.
What do you mean?
Why, I mean my empire, of course. I intend to go home as soon as I can. After all, I've dragons to raise. I need to teach them to be good boys and girls before they set the entire world on fire. There may be an accident or two along the way. Can't be helped, I'm afraid. I do so long to see my palace again. The Forbidden City. The scents of spices and incense. The sound of sitars in far-off rooms. To sit all day in perfumed shade. Watch the white of the marble change with the journey of the sun. But above all, I long to be with Sadher. Long to finally have the time to love.
Wish him the brightest of futures.
Oh, but before you go, remember how when we first met, I took you by the jaw to inspect your teeth?
That was a while ago, I don't remember that.
A while, not ages. Had you partaken in my little questionnaire, I'd have assessed your cooking skills, fashion sense, and regard for personal hygiene. I don't think I'm stretching any hypothetical truths when I assume I'd have found you lacking in all three departments. Still, I'm nothing if not a tolerant man who believes in individual growth. I'm sure the journey taught you much. As such, I'd like to offer you what was denied to you before. The opportunity to become my slave. What say you?
Shake your head, sigh deeply, then hit him on the nose.
Taken quite by surprise, he staggers back, blood dripping down his nostrils.
I take that as a no, then. Fair enough. But next time, please, use your words.
Jahan, my man, looking better.
Without source to shield it, the barriers between Nemesis and Rivellon weaken. The Void may be kept at bay, but the Plane of Demons is not.
Well, I'm glad you're here to help with that. Tarquin, buddy.
I always thought that those who resorted to self-sacrifice were lacking in imagination. I must admit, that was rather noble of you.
Ask him what he makes of the state of the new world.
A world without source is one that will need individuals of wit and intellect. A sharp mind is the only magic now. I believe I shall enjoy this new world very much.
What do you do now?
That is the question, isn't it? How does one top the greatest feat of necromancy ever conceived? I might have the answer to that. Tell me, have you ever heard of Gustavchen?
When he says the greatest feat of necromancy ever conceived, he's talking about how he brought Brachus Rex back to life to become Dallas's slave.
No, of course you wouldn't. It's a written language, unreadable to most, but myself naturally. It comes from a mysterious race from another world, beings that feed on minds. I intend to seek them out. This Gustavchen seems to guard portals to their realm. And once I've uncovered one, well, why settle for being the greatest mind in just one world? There's another for the taking.
Alright, squirrel buddy, I sent your ass away for constantly being in the way. What do you got for me?
Well, well, Quirkers, look who finally graced us with their presence. I suppose some thanks are in order.
Smile and tell him he's welcome. It wasn't easy, but you made it.
No, you should be thanking me. I just saved the world from the great acorn. You're welcome, by the way. Honestly, Quirkers, some creatures have no sense of perspective.
Thank you for your service.
A huge grin slowly spreads across the squirrel's small face.
Of course, had you not stopped this god king and his lackeys, there would have been very little left for me to save. So,
The cat moves forward, twisting around your legs and filling air with the sound of dry, dusty purring.
Quackers! Please, have a little decorum.
Laugh and tell Sir Laurel they've been through a lot. He should relax. You know what? Let's scratch the cat under the chin.
Quirkers arches his back, almost dislodging Sir Laura, who just smiles.
This battle is won, my friend, but we still have a war to fight. We've undone the Great Acorn, but the Knights of Dre are still out there. They summoned the Great Acorn once. They will be able to summon it again. We have to destroy their order, once and for all. That is the future Quirkers and I have ahead of us. We no longer need a shield, but we are very happy.
Smile and thank him. You're looking forward to a little rest.
And a well-deserved rest it will be. I never thought I would be proud to have defended a giant. But there is no one Ow! Crackers! There is no one that we would rather have walked this world with. I do not know what comes next for you, but you will always have a friend in the forest. Come, Quackers, we must... Oh, I think you have something in your eye, my friend.
The cat curls up and snuggles into his squirrel friend, who quietly sits and sniffs on the deck.
You're here. And I'm here. If just barely. Thank the gods or whomever for Malady.
Smile and say you're exceedingly glad not to find her a silent monk.
Oh? I think the look would quite suit you.
The shadow of a smile passes over her lips.
I'm glad too.
Ask what she'll do now.
She looks around at the blue skies and sees, smiling.
Whatever I like.
She puts a hand lightly on your shoulder and pulls you toward her.
We have shared times both good and bad. Times beautiful and ugly. I won't forget them. Not for anything. Don't be a stranger now.
You are a very, very, very lucky person. If Malady hadn't restored us, I'd be a drooling monstrosity, but a vengeful one.
Tell her it was the best option for the entire realm.
The realm is a lot more robust than some people give it credit for. It's probably survived much more than we'll ever even know.
Ask what she'll do now.
Get loot, play loot, get loot, get glad.
Simple. I love it.
So, Chief, I guess this is it, right?
I guess so.
I won't soon forget this madness. Or you, either.
As she turns from you, the whites of her eyes darken, the veins in her face go grey, and a wicked smile curls her mouth. Suddenly, it's gone again. She winks, and you're left wondering whether you saw anything at all.
See you around.
Take care.
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak to you as it does to be whole again.
Remark that it's good to see her. The Lady Vengeance has been a dependable ally.
I will always be an ally to those that carry swords, to those whose blood is of the heroes of old, and so, as always, I am at the ready.
Let's go.
You look out to the endless beyond. The sun's light plays upon the waves, just as it always did. The sails flutter in the wind, just as they always will. And yet, and with a start, you realize where you must go next. You speak the command to the Lady Vengeance, and another chapter begins. At last, the world was at peace. As the races united behind Lucian, Arx remained the center of power. The ancient Lizard Empire opened its gates. The houses disbanded, and the Empire adopted a pluralist quasi-democracy. Anyone could vote for whoever they pleased, as long as the House of Shadows approved. Justinia returned to her throne. Under her rule, the Dwarven kingdom prospered, until 2 years later, a jealous lover stabbed her in the heart with a mutton fork. Lucian made amends to the elves. He gave them lands and vast riches from the coffers of the old divine order. But the elves never forgave him. They would not trust humans again. And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came together once more. The island of Fort Joy, the old redoute of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest crops. A particularly crimson-fleshed orange grown on the island became a delicacy across half the world. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a center of industry, trade, and transport. Lohar became mayor, and Brayton Barnes grew rich until, after a public argument over import duties, Barnes died in an accident, buried under several tons of fish, and also stabbed in the back with a gutting knife. Lagan left his over-demanding wife and began a relationship with a local bard. In the spirit of loving generosity, he returned the ring to his now ex-wife. In a fit of rage, she threw it into the sea. You would never forget Dorothea's kiss. Dorothea herself left Driftwood for the ancient empire, ever in search of the perfect kiss. She never found it, although once or twice she came close. The nameless isle had vanished. Open water remained. By instinct, ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Arx became a great metropolis, famed for its prosperity, its culture, its diversity, and the willingness of its denizens to stab each other in the back for the slightest advantage. Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors. Almira and Mihaili settled down on the farm. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. She presumed she had them in thrall. The truth was, they just liked her. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to call upon, and so her search continued. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. With Amadia silent, the priestess Gratiana left the swamps and re-entered the world. She founded an abbey in the Dragonspine Mountains, offering the last of the undead shelter from fortune hunters, novelty seekers, and ghouls. Jehan the demon hunter found himself at a loose end, so he opened a museum of demonic artifacts. He made a fortune. With Lucian in power, Sahala took the elves away from the world. They grew strong once more amidst the trees of the regrown home forest. Some say her plans for revenge will bring about the end of days. Some say only Tova, her mother, holds her back. Lucian returned as divine, united the races, and became Lord Emperor of all Rivellon. Only Dallis knew that he was entirely powerless. Dallis and you. The Eternal, now known as Dallis, was a secret advisor to Lucian and to his successors. For eons she would walk in the world, and would outlive the peoples and all, and wander alone amongst the dying stars. Sabine wandered the world. She became a household name, famed the realm over as a traveling hero, celebrated wherever she went. Enjoying life to the fullest, she was truly and finally free. The Red Prince came home a hero. With Sada, he had more dragons. Soon, Prince became Emperor, one who would not use his dragons for conquest. His realm knew peace, and the world did not burn. Lohse returned to her music and enjoyed a storied career as Rivellon's premier musician. Dark moods would at times overtake her, and she would spend long hours walking in the wilds. She always returned with a new song. And then there was you. You returned to the world as one more human among many. Your future was yours to decide. Did you accept your new status with humility, or did you rebel? Only you know the truth. Only you know if you atone for your sins.